I played 6 hours of a new version of Crimson Desert, and damn, there's so much new stuff I want to show you in this video. There's a bounty system where you can go after criminals and have to put them behind bars. There was this secret boss in the open world I got to fight that gave me a very unique item. Unarmed combat is actually really powerful and fun, and I was overall really impressed by the amount of depth in the skill system. And yes, it's no joke how big the map is. So no time to waste, and thanks to Abyss for inviting me to the event and sponsoring the video. My play session started from the beginning of the game. You are immediately taking control of Cliff as his band of grey mains is attacked by an enemy clan called the Black Bears. As always, I will not spoil any story details, but expect a pretty cinematic 15-minute opening with awesome cutscenes, after which you are immediately introduced to the Abyss. You could argue that the world of Crimson Desert has 2 layers, the regular combat-filled open world and these islands in the sky that are full of puzzles, but also seem to play a pretty important role in the story. It is kinda weird that Cliff does not seem too impressed by all these over-the-top magical things that are going on in this medieval world. He remains pretty numb through it all. I really hope his personality grows over the course of the game, because it almost feels like he was a silent protagonist at first, which might have been the case as the game of course started as an MMORPG. But I would overall argue that these MMO roots are also the game's biggest strength, because it basically feels like they put 6 different classes into one single character. The skill menu in this game might be the best I've ever seen, because almost every single unlock gives you a brand new ability or move that you can use through a special button combination. Next to your light and heavy attacks, you can combine R1 with any of the face buttons for a spin attack, for example. You can also do a stab that you can charge. Unarmed combat has its own skill that if you upgrade it unlocks brand new combos and moves, so this on top of those other abilities that you can also use with your fist. This can fully be your playstyle if you want. Wanna be an archer? Well, that seems certainly possible as well, as long as you have the arrows with really cool dodge attacks and other moves to push enemies away. I tried the drop kick, as there are certain moves that you can only do from the air, and everything I mentioned here is only from the blue section of the skill tree. There's also a more spirit focused green tree that, for example, has this interesting focus move that lets you slow time and then push enemies away. Then there is the elemental red tree focused on your grapple hook and elemental enhancements, and the one element we did not know about yet, by the way, is called Vok, which lets you deploy basically smoke bombs with various skills. Oh, and those other 2 playable characters have a similarly sized skill tree that I sadly could not record, but that I did see. It's very impressive. There's no XP you earn to gain a new level, but by simply taking the time to kill a group of enemies, I was always rewarded with 1 Abyss artifact that I could then immediately invest in almost any skills. But you can also learn skills by observing enemies. During an early boss fight, the knight did his signature pump kick, and if you stand still, you can immediately steal that move and use it against him. Some skills actually require you to observe an NPC before you can unlock them, although these NPCs seem mostly linked to the main story. For most of the skills, it's optional, but it will save you an Abyss artifact. We have to wait and see how impactful that is though, because the Abyss artifacts seem pretty easy to come by. Now, one thing that is very lucrative early on is going after criminals. You will find notice boards and other places with wanted posters, and by inspecting them, a new quest will appear on your map, leading you towards the target. When they see you, they might run away, so then you have to tackle them and tie them up, and then bring them back to the prison to put them behind bars. I was once minding my own business when someone stole money from me and quickly ran away. Now luckily I could tackle him and bring him to justice, but overall this was a really fun random event, and I hope there are more like that, because otherwise the world seems pretty static. Most NPCs are just standing around in one location, and even during the night there were still kids on the street. If you were like hoping for a living, breathing world, I sadly did not really get that feeling from these opening hours. Again, it really reminds me of an MMORPG. There are still quite a few characters asking for your attention or letting you do small mini games with them, which were quite fun, but it's not Red Dead Redemption 2 or Ghost of Yotei levels of interaction. Now you can greet almost everyone you meet though, or pet different animals, which is of course fun. It also gives you +5 trust, which is linked to the crime system that right now I struggle to see the point of engaging with, at least early in the game. So from completing my first bounty, I got a mask that doesn't only look very cool, but it's also needed in order to steal things. Otherwise you will see the prompt but cannot interact with the items. If you just steal something when nobody sees it, there's really no problem. But you can also threaten NPCs or attack town guards, and really the moment you do that, the whole town will be after you. These were super high level enemies, at least I was unable to take them out at this point, so I would just die and then be sent to the prison where you lose a ton of money based on your actions. I in one case lost 300 silver, and to put that into perspective, I'd only found around 20 silver during these early hours. So yes, it's really awesome that it's possible to be the bad guy, but so far I struggle to see why you would do that. Maybe there are better rewards later in the game. Now it's way better to stay on the right side of justice. Turning in criminals also gives you a special faction currency that you can exchange in a dedicated faction shop. This shop included very cool armor sets, a really strong banner spear, horse armor for your mount, and yes, your mount can actually level up in this game, unlocking new moves like a kick to push enemies away. There should be more of these faction shops. The map had a tab that revealed areas occupied by each faction, so doing missions in those areas should help you rank up loyalty. To get to this faction shop, I had to change my outfit to get past the guards, so your equipment can grant you access to new locations, or you can just use your powers to launch yourself across the wall. Crimson Desert shines when you are exploring its sandbox and deciding what to do next. At one point I found a quarry filled with enemies. You're often fighting enormous groups of enemies, by the way, which a big change of pace from other open world titles. Now luckily you don't have to defeat them all to liberate an area, but it does mean you can get easily overwhelmed. This quarry was also home to a secret driller boss. I love how Crimson Desert's medieval fantasy setting also includes very advanced technology, making encounters like this possible. Shooting arrows was totally the best approach for this boss, as when I got close, it would do a drill attack that would often insta-kill me. Now, luckily I had items that could revive me on the spot so I could keep going, and in the end I was successful. And what is cool is that I got one of the drill arms as a reward, which you can use in combat to brutally damage enemies, but also to mine ores instead of using a pickaxe. It really seems that every boss has some sort of unique reward that makes them worth doing. I do hope the puzzles do not get in the way of this fun though. During early main missions there are already puzzles that can be very hard to understand because they don't properly explain mechanics or rely on trial and error solutions. They also require you to use abilities that you might have forgotten about or never used in this instance, and that costs spirit, which slowly regenerates over time, so you cannot spam it to complete the puzzle. The game does have a very clever focus system that lets you target your jump or the item or NPC you want to interact with, but this did not always work either. That meant simple actions like picking up items or completing objectives became kind of frustrating. I think these issues can really stop Crimson Desert from becoming a game that will be loved by many. Right now it feels like something you have to accept in order to get to the good stuff. Because in these 6 hours I already encountered a ton of awesome stuff, and it feels like I barely scratched the surface of what the game has to offer. If you have questions, drop them in the comments. I will answer them in a Q&A video that I will do very soon on the React channel. Also in the pinned comment you find a link to get more information on the game and for my deluxe edition giveaway. Subscribe, leave a like, I will have way more Crimson Desert content coming your way, and goodbye.